This story is credited by DokaiSprirado. Support him using the links below. In an age long before the Saiyan race came into existence, even before the birth of the mighty destroyer gods who would one day govern the 6th and 7th universes, reality itself unfolded along a vastly different course, and at the heart of this divergence stood a creation born from divine will. It was within Universe 13 that the Supreme Kai, seeking to mold a lineage of warriors capable of withstanding the most punishing trials the cosmos could offer, brought forth a formidable new race. These beings were destined to surpass the limitations of mortal resilience, standing as paragons of strength and endurance. This race came to be known as the Unijins, a people whose existence bore striking resemblances to the Saiyans of our known reality. Their outward appearances and warrior-like temperaments might lead one to believe they were kindred spirits. But beneath the surface, their true nature set them apart in ways far beyond mere aesthetics. Their traditions, philosophies, but perhaps the most interesting thing, their transformations. Centuries before Universe 13 met its ultimate fate, it raced alongside the other ill-fated universes. A quiet village bore witness to a blessing, a miracle. A newborn child who would one day be given the name Titano. Under the tutelage of Titanius, the once revered leader of the Unijins South Army, who had long since stepped away from the battlefield, the child was molded into a warrior of extraordinary skill. From a young age, he demonstrated an aptitude for combat that far outshined those of his peers. It wasn't until the highly anticipated annual contest of strength that his power would be laid bare before the most influential eyes in the land. On that day, the South King himself, Solidorn the Great, watched in disbelief as the boy's raw potential was put on display in front of him. This sparked a deep unrest within the king's heart. He knew that if Titano's strength continued to grow, the boy could one day surpass his own son, Prince Solaric, and threaten the royal bloodline's grip on the throne. The very thought filled him with dread. Determined to eliminate the threat before it could fully bloom, Solidorn took decisive action. In secret, he sent his most skilled assassin to dispose of the child before he could ever reach his prime. However, his plot unraveled the moment the assassin encountered Titanius. The seasoned warrior, unwavering in his duty as both mentor and guardian, effortlessly thwarted the attempt. With this act of betrayal exposed, Titanius realized the king had no room left for peace. War had been declared. Titanius called upon his old comrades, veterans who had once fought alongside of him in the legendary campaigns of the past. Though they had long since retired, their loyalty had never wavered. Together, they stood in defiance of the tyrant's will, raising their weapons against the king's vast army in a desperate bid to protect Titano. But Solidorn, unwilling to accept defeat, resorted to more insidious means. In his desperation, he summoned a Unijin witch, a being of dark and forbidden knowledge. With her arcane ability, she granted Prince Solaric a temporal advantage, an unnatural surge of power that could turn the tide of the battle. What followed was a massacre. Bolstered by the witch's intervention, the prince tore through Titanius' forces with merciless efficiency, wiping out the entire army that had dared rise against the throne. And then at last, the two warriors stood face to face. Titanius, the battle-hardened veteran, and Solaric, the empowered heir to the throne. This was to be Titanius' final stand. In the wake of his tragic fall, chaos and despair engulfed what remained of his family. With no time to grieve, Goddessa, the mother of Titano, took swift action. She entrusted her eldest daughter Galassa with a singular desperate mission. Take Titano and flee. Hide him. Keep him safe from the wrath of Solaric, who would stop at nothing to ensure no trace of their bloodline remained. Goddessa herself stayed behind. She was determined to buy her children even a sliver of time. She confronted the newly empowered prince, knowing full well she stood no chance. But even a mother's unyielding will was not enough. As Galassa hurried through the wilderness, cradling her baby brother, she searched frantically for a place to conceal him. But before she could act, a radiant burst of energy suddenly erupted before her, illuminating the darkness in an almost divine brilliance. From within its ethereal glow, two imposing figures emerged, strangers whose presence sent a shiver down her spine. They were not Unijins. Before her stood Kai, the god of destruction of Universe 13. and his ever-serene angel attendant Kagna. They had come to this world seeking a mortal, one destined to ascend beyond the limits of their kind and take up the mantle of Destroyer. Desperation took hold of Gallus as she clutched onto Titano. With all the strength left in her trembling voice, she pleaded with him. Take him! Save him! Give him a chance to live! Kagna studied the infant with an expression of quiet intrigue. In that moment, she sensed it. An immense, untapped well of power slumbering within the child. The decision was made. With a single motion, the angel whisked Titano into the light, leaving Glessa standing there alone, unable to do anything but hope. Hope that one day, against all odds, she would see her little brother again. Years passed. Under the divine teachings of Kai and Kagna, Titano underwent a transformation unlike anything his people could have imagined. He trained endlessly, refining his abilities and embracing the immense responsibility placed upon him. In time, he proved himself worthy of the title bestowed to him, God of Destruction of Universe 13. Yet, despite all he had accomplished, the past still called to him. And so, one fateful day, he returned to his place of origin. He set foot on his home planet once more, determined to uncover the truth of what happened to his family he had left behind. When? He stumbled upon a lone survivor from that day. The full, crushing truth was revealed. The fate of his parents, his people, the annihilation of those who had fought to protect him. And in that moment, something within him snapped. The boy who had never known true rage became very, very angry. A primal, all-consuming fury surged through him. Only vengeance was on his mind. He stormed towards the Grand Palace. The time for restraint had passed. The prince who had wiped out Titanius' army. But this time, Titano had come for him. Solaric! His voice soared across the kingdom like a god's decree. Easily overpowering the so-called prince, Titano tosses him aside. Before he can even catch his breath, a cold, wicked voice cuts through him like a blade. You! Solaric barely lifts his head before chilling his follows. Is your old man still alive? The prince, despite the strange unease creeping over him, scoffs in defiance. Yeah? What about it? Something, however, is off. A closer look at Solaric's face reveals something strange. His beard has grown slightly in just the last few moments. Before the prince can comprehend this anomaly, his body is seized by an iron grip. The newly appointed destroyer leans in. You're going to feel the same pain you made me feel. The people you killed were the ones I loved. Solaric's brow furrows, confusion flashing across his face. Years have gone by. The sins of his past have long since faded into a blur of conquest. People what are you talking about? Then it clicks. His eyes widen, his breath hitches. Wait, that face. Recognition dawns. You're the brat who escaped. You look just like that one guy. That one guy was my dad. You thought you'd get away with this? He doesn't wait for an answer. He doesn't want an answer. summoning a crackling ball of energy. So, you're going to watch me do the same to your sorry excuse for a father. Panic seizes Solaric. Desperation fueling him, he lunges. I'll kill you! Never gets the chance. Titano, with merciless precision, manipulates the attack so Solaric himself is the one to kill his father. But there's no pity in Titano's eyes. Instead, he stares down his broken opponent. For what you've done, you should consider yourself lucky. Solaric seethes, his body trembling with rage. Though Titano's unimpressed. Are you really going to cry over the loss of such a parasite? Idiots! After that most recent surge of power, something feels wrong. Weakness. His hands, his skin, his body is aging rapidly. This seems to infer that temporal advantage the witch gave him is having a similar effect on his body as what happened in Gas in Dragon Ball Super. His life force is quickly burning to account for the power his body can't handle. Hey! Unfazed by his barrage, Titano taunts. That was the worst volcano ritual I've ever seen. Battle seemingly well in hand, the god starts. I've heard a lot about you. Selfish, arrogant, conniving. Most of all, a complete waste of my time. You've proven that much. He furthers that he's far from innocent in all of this. Karma will bear down, and he will never recover. Well, guess what, boy? I am Karma! No, you're nothing. Solaric remains vanished, erased without a trace. Titano tries to take a deep breath, but something inside doesn't let him settle. Everything the old survivor told him when he first returned to this planet, it was all true. His family, his people. The past he never had the chance to know. Gone. Cogna takes notice. Universe, Titano is now a god of destruction. But to her, he is still just a child. She embraces him. For a long moment, there are no words. Just a quiet understanding. A warmth he didn't realize he needed. Then she finally speaks. I understand your pain, Titano. You deserve to have a better life. Everything is going to be okay. He doesn't respond right away. He doesn't know how to. But then she makes him look at her. Your training won't be complete until you're ready to be on your own. Look at me, Titano. His reddening eyes meeting hers. Instead of focusing on physical strength, I'm going to teach you some important lessons about surviving in the multiverse. Slowly, he pulls himself together. His head clearing, he gives her a nod. Taking him by the hand. When we get home, I'm going to cook you something you'll enjoy. Slowly, Titano allows himself to exhale. Titano has confirmed the death of his parents. What has become of Galassa, the sister who risked everything to deliver him to the gods? Somewhere, an answer awaits. And as this young god of destruction steps forward into his destiny, his true journey is only just beginning.